Good Monday morning. I'm Zinclair Samoa in for Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Right now on Morning News Now, flood and fire this morning, dueling extremes, devastating parts of the U.S. In Kentucky, they're bracing for another round of rain in areas still underwater from deadly floods.
We've lost 4 houses, a couple of vehicles, all our farm equipment. I mean, technically, there's nothing else left for us to lose.
And breaking overnight in California, an out-of-control wildfire explodes in size, quickly becoming the state's largest this year. We have team coverage this morning. Also this morning, a rebound. President Biden back in isolation at the White House after testing positive for COVID again. What we're learning about his condition, plus how it's highlighting a side effect of a popular anti-COVID treatment. Outbreak this morning, new efforts to stop the spread of monkeypox at its epicenter in the U.S. We'll bring you the latest from here in New York, where an emergency was just declared as the number of new cases grows. And lasting legacies, celebrating 2 trailblazers this morning, Star Trek actress Nichelle Nichols and NBA legend Bill Russell. A look back at their lives, their storied careers, and how they broke barriers far beyond Hollywood and the world of sports.
Such great legacies. I'm excited to hear
Absolutely.
that
It's so nice to have you with us on a Monday morning.
Thank you.
We hope you had a good weekend at home. We begin with the latest from that deadly flooding in eastern Kentucky.
That's right. The region, which is already reeling, got more rain over the weekend, and it's expected to continue. Alerts are in place for portions of the central and eastern part of the state, where Kentucky has received more than, get this, 600% of their average precipitation over the past week. This morning, at least 28 people are confirmed dead, including 4 children from one family. And sadly, the death toll is still expected to rise as dozens are still unaccounted for. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear visited the disaster zone Sunday, promising the state will pay for funerals and doubling the National Guard's boots on the ground. 70 trailers brought in during December's destructive tornadoes will now house those displaced from the floods. We have full coverage this morning with NBC News meteorologist Michelle Grossman, and in a minute we'll speak to Perry County Sheriff Joe Engel. But we begin with the latest on the ground and NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa. Maggie, good to see you. You've been in eastern Kentucky for several days now. What have you seen, and how are things looking this morning?
So we'll start with this morning, St. Clay, because it's actually been changing by the minute. We had about an hour-and-a-half drive from Lexington to where we are now, just kind of in the central part of the state that's really been affected here. And it was torrential rain on our drive in here. And you can see bodies of water like this, which have slowly been receding. It's safe to say they're starting to swell at least a little bit again, and it wouldn't take much rain, our meteorologists have been telling us, to flood this area again. And add to that, look at all the damage over here. I mean, this is still left behind in so many parts of the state, and you can see just how strong these floodwaters were the first time around. So the devastation here is unbelievable, and now this is like the last thing people here need, and it's just really jarring emotionally. We were with the family yesterday when it started to rain, and they said this is just obviously going to be really traumatizing for a lot of people after what they saw this week, St. Clair.
Understandably, and I mean, you talk about the devastation there. This is the second major disaster that Kentucky has had to deal with in the past year. I mean, just behind you, that is so awful. How are people responding to all of this?
They are so traumatized, so shaken. I know you're going to talk to Sheriff Engel soon. We met him earlier, and you know, he knows this more than anyone. But we've just been talking to family after family, and then also just overhearing conversations, like in grocery stores and just out in the public, people just casually saying, like, how much did you lose? Did you lose anyone you love? You know, how's your family doing? Have you been able to find everyone? Like, people are just, their lives have been turned upside down. And you mentioned the tornadoes. It's this growing club of devastation. And especially that family that I mentioned yesterday, they survived the tornadoes. Their property was not touched by those. But in the floods, we spoke to a woman who watched her son's house be carried away by floodwaters with her husband and daughter-in-law on the front porch, screaming for help, basically surfing the floodwaters on the porch. They eventually had to break a window and climb out up a hillside. They're okay, but she is just still wrapping her mind around what they've all been through. Take a listen.
For us, we've lost everything that we can possibly lose. You know, we almost lost 2 family members. We've got them, I mean, the material stuff we can replace. But if they would have drowned in that house at night, I mean, there's no way that, you know, the children's mommy could be replaced, you know, their poppy could be replaced. And that's what they were all worried about.
Teresa telling us her 3-year-old granddaughter, by the way, obviously doesn't understand what happened, but she's been telling her grandparents and her parents that their house is broken and she just wants to go back to her bedroom. And obviously, guys, she can't. The devastation here is unbelievable. Send it back to you.
So much devastation. Chilling, really. Maggie Vespa, thank you.
Let's now bring in Perry County Sheriff Joe Engel. Sheriff Engel, thanks so much for joining us again this morning. Now, when we talked to you on Friday, you said that the damage was unlike anything you'd ever seen. Where do things stand in your county this morning?
Friday, when I'd spoken with you Friday, I didn't have a clue what I would see since. It's just like anything that I can explain or imagine. It's like the only way I can describe this damage, it's like a large EF5 tornado set down on that creek bank and followed it all the way through our county. And on top of other parts of the county, just the same type of destruction. You look at this destruction with your eyes and you're like, this can't be just a flash flood. It looks, you know, like I described, looks like a tornado plus floods. It's just really undescribable.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you see those images. It's just hard to believe. What's the status of your search and rescue efforts at this point after the weekend?
We, over the weekend, there was a lot of resources that came in from out of state. Some professional guys came in, but we had our local volunteers. We had people, you know, talked to some people here from our community that. Some people from Hazard, they worked in Richmond, Virginia, drove 7 hours back home, left their job, drove 7 hours back home, walked the creek banks, and they found one of the first bodies that last week, and the first responders was able to get over there and we recovered it. They're just ordinary people. This is an effort of, like I said, you've got professional FEMA people that does this thing as experts at it, and you've got our volunteer firemen. You've just got people that lives in these communities and that's from here that's pitching in. But it was a tough weekend on the recovery. Yesterday here in Perry County, we recovered 4 bodies in this county alone from the creek banks that we recovered. So the only good side to that is we're starting to locate a lot of these people that were missing, and we're starting to account for them that where they're at. And when we can't move forward till we get past that point. We've got to get our people off these creek banks and out of these creeks and the proper burial that they deserve.
Absolutely. Just heartbreaking. I know also while you've been doing this, while these search and recovery efforts have been going on, you've been dealing with continuing rain on top of the flooding. Has that hampered your ability to help people?
It started yesterday, and it's just adding insult to injury. This ground is saturated. It's rained all night, pretty hard. Getting some reports coming in this morning of minor flooding in places, so water over the roadway. So hopefully this don't last. This lets up. We can't handle much more water at this point.
Just a moment ago, our viewers might have seen along the bottom of our screen, it had said that the governor has promised to pay for funerals of victims here. Tell us what else is happening at the state level, federally. Are you getting the help you need from those resources?
Yes. I've been in communication with our emergency management, communication with our National Guard, and they're coordinating on getting some people in here. So yeah, we're getting the help we need. And the thing about it here is, even if we don't get the help we need, our people here, they're resilient, they're tough, they're made of coal miners, they work in the logwoods, they know how to work and get dirty. And I've all weekend out on patrol in the rural parts of the county that's devastated. We pushed through places when we could first make it to. We've not been able to there in days, and we found communities already recovering, neighbors helping other neighbors, cleaning stuff up, already moving forward. That's just kind of people we are back here, good, strong people, and we'll be okay eventually.
Absolutely. Says so much about your community, Sheriff. We thank you for your time again during a tough week.
Thank you.
And from those deadly floods to fires out west, hot and windy conditions are fueling California's largest wildfires so far this year. The McKinney Fire is burning out of control this morning in Northern California. It has exploded in size in the 2 days since it started, now burning more than 80 square miles. To put that into perspective, that's an area nearly the size of the city of Baltimore. The governor has declared a state of emergency, and people in nearby towns are being urged to evacuate.
Let's now get a check at your Morning News Now weather with all this going on.
Yeah, Michelle Grossman joins us now. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning to you both. Yeah, first day of August and the extreme weather does continue. We talked about the flooding, the wildfires, looking at extreme heat once again. That's going to push into the northern plains and eventually into the northeast once again. Let's start with the flooding because we do have a flash flood warning this morning. That is in red. That's on the border of eastern Kentucky, also West Virginia. So this happens fast. It's furious. We also have a flood watch that is set to expire later on this morning, but we continue to watch rounds of showers. They're disorganized or scattered. We will see relief later on today into tomorrow in this part in Kentucky, also West Virginia, but we are seeing rounds of rain right now. We're seeing heavy downpours, seeing lightning, hearing thunder. Where you see those brighter colors, the yellows, especially the reds, the oranges, that's where we're seeing those really heavy downpours. They're not alone. We're looking at some heavy downpours also in portions of the southeast. That's where we're going to see some storms today. Also the chance of severe storms in the Ohio Valley. 10 million people at risk. We could see winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour, some hail, even the chance of a tornado, especially where we see that yellow shading, so Cincinnati, portions of Ohio, Indiana, into northern and eastern Kentucky. So we're going to be watching that closely as we go throughout the afternoon and looking to pick up 1 to 2 inches. But we're seeing reports of 2 inches already being dropped in portions of Kentucky from thunderstorms. We're expecting 2 inches more. So when you have a thunderstorm move through, we could see a lot of rain in a short amount of time. Fire alerts out to the west where you see the pink. We are looking at red flag warnings, and we are watching that fire very, very closely. The McKinney Fire, 0% containment, hopefully getting some seeing some containment today, but we're looking at the threat for storms bringing lightning. That could spark some more wildfires and also some strong winds gusting over 50 miles per hour. That's going to blow the smoke as well. The extreme heat, 21 million people impacted by heat advisory in your orange, heat warning in your pink. So we're looking at really hot temperatures into the 90s, into the triple digits once again. And we're going to see this heat moving to the north. So that jet stream so far to the north, Boise today, 104, 99 degrees in Rapid City. That moves to the east as we head towards tomorrow and also Wednesday. So the plains, we're looking really hot tomorrow. 95 in Minneapolis, 104 in Pierre. Omaha, you're going to be feeling like 106 once we factor in that humidity. And then this moves off to the northeast. So once again, we had that little bit of a break, but we're back into the 90s, 97 in New York on Thursday. Back to you guys.
Wow, Michelle, thank you so much. Impacting so many people, 21 million by that heat.
Yeah. It's just so busy with everything that you tell us each week. All right, Michelle, thanks. See you in a little bit. Yeah. Now, this morning, President Biden is isolating once again at the White House after testing positive for COVID on Saturday. The rebound case comes just 3 days after the president had returned to the Oval Office. NBC News Now correspondent Maura Barrett joins us. Hey, Maura, good morning. So how is the president doing, and what does this latest positive test mean for his schedule for this week?
Good morning, Savannah. When President Biden tested positive for COVID originally and was isolating at the White House, the main form of communication we got was via letters from his doctor, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. And so when we saw another letter from his doctor pop into our inboxes on Saturday, it was pretty unexpected. And we learned that because the president had taken Paxlovid as a precaution, they had increased his testing cadence. And so he was testing every day since he'd originally tested negative. And we saw him out in the Rose Garden giving that speech celebrating the vaccine and the boosters and everything that was able to treat him to get better. But then on Saturday morning, he tested positive again. We know that he also tested positive again on Sunday. And so he tweeted on Saturday to tell Americans saying, folks, today I tested positive for COVID again. This happens with a small minority of folks. I've got no symptoms, but I'm going to isolate for the safety of everyone around me. I'm still at work and will be back on the road soon. Now, the White House tells us that he will continue to isolate until he tests negative, though CDC guidance does specify that if you test positive again, a rebound positivity with Paxlovid, they say you should isolate for an additional 5 days. That means that the Wilmington travel the president was supposed to do yesterday and today, along with a trip to Michigan that they had announced earlier on Saturday, have all been canceled. So the president will remain here isolating at the White House.
All right, and more now. Let's talk about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and this tour of Asia. So she's stopping off at Singapore first, but there's been a lot of talk about a possible visit to Taiwan, which which wouldn't go down well in China. What's the status of that trip? Is that on the agenda? What can you tell us about her plans?
This is such a potentially contentious trip because China doesn't recognize Taiwan's independence, right? And so Nancy Pelosi advised her official schedule over the weekend. She's going to be stopping in Malaysia, Singapore, South Korea, and Japan. But prior to her leaving for the trip overnight on Friday, a source familiar who had reviewed her itinerary told NBC that Taiwan was listed as a tentative stop. And so we still think that that could be a potential. The Chinese advising that this is something that they would take strong action against. Over the weekend, we saw their military conducting live fire drills off the coast of Taiwan. And remember, President Xi of China, according to the Chinese, told President Biden on that call on Thursday that those who play with fire shall perish by it. So a lot of strong warnings, as well as the president admitting that the U.S. military doesn't think it would be a good decision right now. But Speaker Pelosi had previously or was speculated to want to visit in order to support Taiwan with U.S. backing, essentially.
All right, something we'll certainly be watching for there. Before I let you go, I do want to move over to the Senate. Democrats are racing to pass that big climate and tax bill before the August recess. They'll need all 50 Democratic votes, though, to pass it through the reconciliation process and avoid a Republican filibuster. So tell us, do they have them? Where does it stand right now?
Well, this could come to a vote as early as this week, and it's being called the Inflation Reduction Act, which is obviously key messaging for the Democrats right now, given everything we're seeing with the U.S. economy. It'll bring down costs and prescription drug prices, healthcare costs, and a big investment in climate, as you mentioned. But the key right now is Kyrsten Sinema, Senator Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona. She's a swing voter, and she was not involved in this deal between Senators Manchin and Schumer. A source familiar who is close to Sinema told NBC over the weekend that while she was not upset that she didn't know that it was coming, they pointed out that this bill does include a key tax provision that Sinema had previously said that she does not support. And so we, along with Democrats, are will be closely watching to see what Sinema ultimately decides. She was reviewing the text over the weekend, so we could get more indications early this week. Savannah.
All right, Maura Barrett, thank you so much.
Now to the monkeypox outbreak that's spreading globally and throughout the U.S. According to the CDC, cases are now in 47 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico. And New York accounts for a staggering 27% of cases in the country, with the state recording more than 1,300 cases, the most cases of the virus nationwide. Governor Kathy Hochul declared a state of emergency disaster Friday. New York City quickly followed suit, issuing a public health emergency the next day. And the U.S. federal government is also releasing nearly 800,000 more monkeypox vaccine doses from the federal stockpile, more than 10% of those going to New York City. NBC News correspondent Lindsay Reiser joins us now from outside of a clinic in Manhattan. Lindsay, it's good to see you. So what's the latest on New York's numbers, and what can you tell us about the state and city's emergency declarations?
Well, Zing Clay, good morning. So in the U.S., we have more than 5,000 cases, and we're going to show you how many of those are here in New York State alone. We're talking about more than a quarter of those cases, the total number being 1,383 in New York State, 1,289 in the city. So in the city, it's mostly in Manhattan, and it's mostly among men between the ages of 30 to 39, and those men either identify as LGBTQ or unknown. And we know that this is transmitted through close contact. And right now, these emergency measures, they free up more federal aid to combat this. They also allow more people like EMS, pharmacists, midwives to administer these vaccinations. So in addition to New York City declaring this emergency, we have San Francisco, which did that just a couple of days prior. And over the weekend, Zinclay, we also heard the first deaths reported outside of Africa in both Spain and Brazil, Zinclay.
So the stakes are really getting high. And I know that the early vaccine rollout in New York City hit a couple of snags, Lindsay, right? Glitches on the appointment scheduling website and complaints that there wasn't actually enough notice given about when or where appointments were. So how's the vaccination process been going now, and how many doses are coming specifically to New York?
Well, demand is really high. So of those about 800,000 vaccines that are going to be going to different states, we know that 10% or about 80,000 plus monkeypox vaccine doses will be coming right here to New York City. New York State will get another 30,000. And we know that these doses are allocated based on the case burden, based on high-risk population areas. But we also know, like I mentioned, demand's so high that the last time
About a week ago, 17,000 vaccine appointments were opened up. They were taken within a half hour. Let's listen to somebody who was able to get one.
It took me, I think, a week after I found out appointments were happening to book one. And then I got it, and now I got it.
So a lot of people looking for this information, and we should hear more about when those more doses will be coming to this area, Zing Clay.
Absolutely, and encouraging to hear that people are getting that vaccine. Lindsay, thank you.
Now let's bring in Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, always great to have you with us on something like this. So we said that the state of New York accounts for 27% of the cases in the U.S. I mean, that's more than 1 in 4 monkeypox cases in the country being here in New York State, most of those then here in New York City. Tell us first, how has the virus primarily been spreading? And if you're hearing that and you're concerned, what do you need to know?
Yeah, Savannah, the virus is primarily spreading through intimate contact, whether that's sexual activity or hugging or kissing or sharing some sort of items such as blankets, household items that you would have frequent contact with. And these are spreading through viral networks, literally. So as people find cases in clubs and parties and activities, they're having to spread apart to try to find anybody who's come in contact, which can add up to a lot of individuals. And I think the things that are concerning to watch for are just what we don't know about this virus. We do know a lot, but we're seeing more human-to-human transmission, and we have to wonder if it's being transmitted through saliva, through semen, through other body fluids. The known transmission is primarily that skin-to-skin contact. So we're watching and trying to understand this as it unfolds around the world.
Also, speaking of around the world, over the weekend, the news broke that there were the first deaths outside of Africa. They were in Spain and Brazil. Tell us about that and if we should be concerned.
Yeah, so the deaths outside of Africa, and keep in mind that in Africa, where this is commonly seen, we do have there even a very low case fatality rate. So it's not something that generally causes death. But these deaths in particular were in individuals who had chronic conditions. Again, need to look at this closely. We don't want to write this off as being a serious disease only in people with chronic conditions, but it's reassuring so far that those deaths occurred in people who had other medical illnesses.
Important context there. And doctor, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the president. So back in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19 after consecutive days of having tested negative for the virus. So we know he used that antiviral medication we've been talking about, Paxlovid, as part of his treatment. And this happens to a small percentage of patients who use that drug, that they get what we're calling these rebound cases. But now we're learning it's maybe more common than we thought. Tell us what we need to know on these rebound cases and if they're a concern.
So rebound is technically a recurrence of symptoms or a positive test after having tested negative, like President Biden. And it usually happens on average 2 to 8 days after you've completed your isolation, which also tracks with the president. Here's the good news. The rebound illness itself either is asymptomatic or much milder than the original case. And none of these cases have led to hospitalization or death. So if people are debating whether they should take it, have a conversation with your doctor. Try to understand if you qualify for it, the benefits really do outweigh the risks, but have that discussion.
Dr. Kavita Patel, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you.
And coming up on Morning News Now, he was an icon on and off the court.
And when we come back, we're honoring the life of NBA great Bill Russell, who passed away over the weekend. More on how his legacy extends far beyond basketball.
We're back now honoring the life and legacy of a Hollywood trailblazer, actress Nichelle Nichols, who died over the weekend. She was 89.
Nichols is best known for her time on Star Trek, where she broke barriers in the world of entertainment as one of the first African-American actresses to be featured in a notable role on a primetime TV series. Nichols' son released a statement yesterday saying, quote, "Her light, however, like the ancient galaxies now being seen for the first time, will remain for us and future generations to enjoy, learn from, and draw inspiration." And we're also remembering another legend, NBA giant Bill Russell, who died yesterday at the age of 88.
Russell is widely regarded as one of the greatest players and coaches to have ever graced the sport of basketball. But he did not just break barriers on the court. NBC News national reporter George Solis takes a look back on his remarkable life.
There's a difference between being proud and having pride.
It wasn't just because of his height that Bill Russell towered over everyone else. He was a force to be reckoned with, both on.
The only really important thing was try to win every game.
And off the court.
You know, I was here when Martin Luther King made this speech.
Decades after retiring, he still dominates the record books with more championships than any other player in any sport. 2 NCAA championships, 1 gold medal, and an astonishing 11 NBA titles in 13 years with the Boston Celtics.
Kuzi in the lane. Russell, dunk.
Winning the last 2 as the team's coach. The first black coach in any major U.S. sport. He used his stature as one of the first black superstar athletes to fight for change. In 1961, boycotting a game after he and his black teammates were denied service at a restaurant. He also participated in the March on Washington in 1963. In the audience as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech.
For us that were deeply involved, the changes were very slow.
Moments highlighted by President Barack Obama in 2011 before awarding Russell the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
And I hope that one day in the streets of Boston, children will look up at a statue built not only to Bill Russell the player, but Bill Russell the man.
2 years later, that would become a reality. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver called Russell the greatest champion in all of team sports. Magic Johnson saying he is heartbroken over the passing of the greatest winner the game of basketball has ever seen, and friend and mentor of the last 30 years. His family said he passed away peacefully, his wife at his side. Bill Russell was 88 years old. George Solis, NBC News.
What a great tribute there. Coming up, voters in Michigan getting ready to head to the polls for tomorrow's primary elections, how the outcome will impact the state's race for governor in the midterms.
Plus, sentencing day for one of the January 6th rioters. Why prosecutors are calling for a longer sentence in this case. Welcome back. On Meet the Press this weekend, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear updated America on the long-term recovery process from those deadly floods in his state. Plus, Senator Joe Manchin went on the record on that new climate and economy bill and shared how he came to change his mind and cinch a surprise deal. Here are some of the highlights.
Good morning. On this week's Meet the Press, the devastating floods in Kentucky. The governor, Andy Beshear, talked to me about the latest developments on the ground and the concern that he still has. Plus, the big reconciliation deal. I spoke with Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who agreed to a deal that funds climate programs, will hopefully bring down the cost of health care. At least that's what the bill promises. And then there was comedian and veterans advocate Jon Stewart. He came on to talk about the PACT Act. That's that bipartisan bill that's supposed to expand veterans' benefits in order to deal with toxic health issues associated with serving overseas. Well, it was blocked by Senate Republicans. So here are some of the most important answers I received from Meet the Press compressed. This flooding is worse than we've ever seen. What about long term? What do you need for mitigation, for adaptation? Because it's pretty clear these extreme storms are not going to end soon.
Well, we have to build back stronger. A lot of this has to do as well with water and wastewater systems that get overwhelmed. You know, rural water is already such a tough issue. The infrastructure is so expensive. I will say that both ARPA and the bipartisan infrastructure bill are a good start. They're helping us do things before this that we haven't been able to do before. But if we truly want to be more resilient, it is going to take a major federal investment as well as here in the state. We're ready to do our part.
2 weeks ago, you said you were adamant you needed to see the July inflation numbers before you were ready to talk about this bigger budget bill with the Democrats called reconciliation. And then abruptly, you didn't need to see those inflation numbers. What changed your mind?
It wasn't abruptly, Chuck. We've been working and negotiating off and on very quietly because I didn't know if it would ever come to fruition. I didn't want to go through the drama that 8 months ago that we went through for so long, thinking we negotiated, got close, and then it fell apart and this and that. Never could get there on the Build Back Better. It just was too much, and I never could get there.
Do you hope Democrats keep control of the House and Senate?
I think people are sick and tired of politics, Chuck. I really do. I think they're sick and tired of Democrats and Republicans fighting and feuding and holding pieces of legislation hostage because they didn't get what they wanted or something, or someone might get credit for something. Why don't we start doing something for our country? Why don't we just say, this is good for America?
What result do you want? Do you want the Democrats to keep control of the United States Senate and the House of Representatives?
I'm not making those choices or decisions on that. I'm going to work with whatever I have. I've always said that. I think the Democrats have great candidates that are running. They're good people I've worked with, and I have a tremendous amount of respect and friendship with my Republican colleagues. So I can work on either side very easily.
You've always been very cynical in some ways, correctly so, about sort of how Washington operates, how politics operates. Here you have thrown yourself in the middle of it on a couple of different bills. How much more cynical are you now, if that's possible?
It's a pretty difficult place to see how it works because they're so insulated and isolated from the real people whose lives are affected by these various provisions. Look, you know, a government by the people, of the people, yes. But the clause they always seem to forget is for the people, for them. And these are real people. I've been with them for 4 years fighting through this. I've seen them through their defeats and their victories. But here's the other thing, Chuck. I've seen them die.
Our thanks to Chuck Todd for that report.
Midterm elections. That was fun. Are less than 100 days away. And tomorrow we'll hear from voters in several key swing states having primary elections. One of them is Michigan, where Republican voters will decide who will end up challenging Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer come November. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster is on the ground in Brighton, Michigan with the very latest. Hey, Shaq, good morning. Good to see you. So walk us through who the top candidates are in tomorrow's GOP primary for governor and explain how this race tees up the larger election in November.
Well, this is going to be a crucial election and a crucial battle that you're going to see, and it's because it's about who's going to lead the state of Michigan. This is, of course, a battleground state. It's a state that President Trump won. It was a state that President Biden won. So this is a crucial state, and it really is important who's governor when you look at those election laws, especially once we head to next year. So that's why you're seeing this fight among Republican candidates here. And when you look at the polling, when you look at the spending in this race, there are really two candidates that come out above the other, or the field of five. We're talking about Tudor Dixon. She earned the support of former President Trump with an endorsement over the course of the weekend. She is a former conservative commentator who says that she will take the fight to Gretchen Whitmer. But then you have Kevin Rinke. We are at an event where he will be speaking in about a half hour or so. He'll be making that final push to get some voters, and those two have been going back and forth. He's a businessman. He's someone who is largely self-funded, and he is trying to win over the support of Republicans in this state. So this is going to be a contentious election. It's going to be something that many analysts say will come down to the wire, because when you look at the polling, things are extremely close, and there are so many Republicans who I met yesterday in the state who say that they are undecided as we head into Election Day.
Now, Shaq, the primary race for House Republican Pete Meyer's seat is another big one tomorrow, since he was one of only 10 Republicans to vote in favor of Trump's impeachment following the attack on the Capitol. So how are voters feeling about the congressman this time around, and how much of a role is former President Trump playing in that particular race?
Well, in that race, you have President Trump backing the challenger, a Republican candidate, John Gibbs, who his campaign says he's coming into this in a strong position. His campaign telling us that they believe he has an insurmountable lead at this point based on their internal polling. But again, you look at polls and so many voters here are undecided. And that was reflected when we were in Congressman Meyer's district just yesterday. Listen to a little bit of some of those conversations about the value and the weight those voters are putting on former President Trump's endorsement here.
The impeachment vote, again, not much of an impact. Doesn't have an effect on policy. You know, does that impeachment affect gas prices? Does it affect taxes? Does it affect, you know, what's going on in schools? Something, you know, and something I teach my kids is that we have the right to vote, but I believe that we have the duty as an American citizen to do our homework and to know exactly what and who we are voting for.
Now, Myers does have some advantages at his disposal. He has more money, spending about 10 times the cash as his primary challenger. But when you have the influence of the former president, it will really be a test on Tuesday over what weight he carries, especially when you have so many voters here who still say that they're undecided.
Shaq, what are you hearing from voters there in terms of what they're focusing on heading into primaries, and then also anything that means that we should be watching for as results come in?
Well, look, you talk to voters and they talk a lot about local issues. Here in Michigan, the big issue, this is something that Gretchen Whitmer ran on. It was fixing the roads. She said it a little bit differently than how I just said it to you, but fixing the roads. There's also something that we should be watching in terms of the impact of abortion. With the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, all the Republican candidates want to tighten restrictions and tighten access to abortion for women in the state of Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer is saying she's the firewall against it. One thing we should really be watching as we see those results come in tomorrow are how those independent voters and how some even Democrats who are participating in the Republican primary, how they sway and where they end up going. Because, yes, you look at polling right now in head-to-head matchups, Gretchen Whitmer is coming into this race, coming into the general election with a comfortable lead in a good position. But, again, this is a state where we saw Republicans win, we've seen Democrats win. Everyone expects it to get tighter, and how voters and independent voters feel about abortion and these candidates heading into November, that is going to be a crucial battle, and that's why so many people are going to be watching what happens here in Michigan.
Definitely. Shaq Brewster, thank you so much.
Now to the Justice Department's investigation into the January 6 riot. A Texas extremist group member who tried to enter the Capitol with a gun is expected to be sentenced today after being convicted on 5 felony counts. Prosecutors are arguing for an especially long sentence for crimes they're calling domestic terrorism. NBC News Justice and legal correspondent Ken Delanian has been following the case for us. Good morning, Ken. So the DOJ has made more than 800 arrests related to January 6th, but this quite notably is the first case they've officially labeled as domestic terrorism. So how does that change the sentence that will be handed down later today?
Good morning, Zinkley. Well, it makes it potentially longer. This is called the domestic terrorism sentencing enhancement, and prosecutors have invoked it because they said, in this case, Guy Reffitt, this 49-year-old former Texas oil worker, intended to influence and coerce the workings of government for a political motive. Now, a lot of people might think many people on January 6th had that intent, but this is the first time the Justice Department has tried to apply this in sentencing. And what they are asking for is a 15-year sentence, which would be 3 times as long as the longest sentence handed down so far in any January 6th case, of 5 years. And that was for somebody who assaulted police officers. So Guy Reffitt's attorneys understandably are saying, wait a second, our client didn't even enter the Capitol, didn't assault police officers. Why the long sentence recommendation? Prosecutors say, look, he had a gun with him. He threatened his children when they talked about turning him into the FBI. He showed no remorse whatsoever, even after he was convicted. And only recently did he send a letter to the judge expressing regret for his actions. So prosecutors really trying to throw the book here at Guy Reffitt today.
That's very intense, 3 times as long. And I know that this is also the first January 6th case to go to trial after Guy turned down a plea deal. So what did you learn about how the DOJ plans to prosecute the more than 300 defendants outside of Guy who are choosing to take their cases to trial?
The Justice Department certainly trying to send a strong message here that acceptance of responsibility by pleading guilty is a big issue. And now Reffitt's attorneys argue, look, you can't penalize my client for seeking his constitutional right to a trial. But prosecutors say in their court briefs that Reffitt, these other people who've got 5-year sentences, some of them pleaded guilty and admitted their responsibility. And in a case like this, which has such political overtones, and many millions of people in the country still believe that January 6th was justified, the Justice Department really wants to send a message here, wants these defendants to admit that they were wrong. And if they do not do that, it really looks like the penalties they're seeking are much higher.
And Ken, quickly, you talked about political undertones. Along with prosecuting the actual January 6 rioters, the DOJ is also running separate probes into so-called fake elector schemes and conspiracy to obstruct Congress, from certifying that 2020 election. So how are the Justice Department and the Attorney General Garland balancing all of these high-profile investigations?
This is a tough one, Zinkley. The investigation that could involve former President Trump and his inner circle, that's the most important investigation, arguably, in Justice Department history. And the very top people of the Justice Department are thinking deeply about questions such as whether to prosecute a former president. Then you've also got this sprawling January 6th related investigation where as you said, more than 850 arrested. They think that as many as 2,500 people enter the Capitol. So they still have a long way to go if they want to prosecute everyone who entered the building. And there's some real questions about whether they have the resources to do this. The FBI seems overwhelmed in some cases, according to our reporting, but they're trying to juggle all that. And we have a lot still to look forward to in these investigations and these prosecutions, Sinclair.
Definitely. We know you'll keep us posted. Ken Delanian, thank you.
And coming up, a high cost to stay cool. Temperatures are on the rise, and so are those electric bills. More on what's behind the spike and what you can do to lower the cost.
Plus, we'll take you inside the Metaverse for a look at how doctors are using virtual reality to plan real-life surgeries.
Welcome back. As Americans try to beat the scorching summer heat, they're finding that cool air comes at a steep cost. The price of electricity is skyrocketing nationwide, with more price hikes to come. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson has more.
Gigi Perez was shocked to receive a $174 electric bill in the mail this month.
How much is it usually during the summer for you?
Last year it was like 98, 95.
So you're paying like $80 more now?
Yes, ma'am. It's a lot.
Gigi, who lives on a fixed income with her daughter and 3 grandkids in Houston, says they're trying to conserve energy to cut future bills and are now making sacrifices to pay this one.
The first thing I was thinking, I said, I'm going to pay the bill, but we don't going to have no water or meat or something. The price is going up. I had to go down on something.
Texas has some of the highest bills in the country, while nationwide this summer, Americans are expected to spend $540 on electric bills, 20% more than last year. Some states are seeing even bigger increases. Pennsylvania regulators are now warning of a 45% rate hike, and starting Monday, some customers in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire will see an increase of up to 50%.
$100 more a month is a lot of money.
The price hike and the scorching heat is burning Granite State resident Michelle.
Frustration. There's nothing we can do. We just have to kind of, accept it.
The reason for the spike?
A lot of that is because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And because natural gas prices have doubled to quadrupled, our electricity prices have gone up with them.
There are some steps you can take to lower your bill. Experts say try turning the thermostat up a few degrees. Close blinds to avoid warming the room. And if you get hit with a big bill, talk to your electric company about a payment plan.
It's 85 degrees here today, and it's pretty humid, and the air conditioners are not on. We're just trying to use as little as we can.
With no relief in sight, both Michelle and Gigi are considering moving to cool down their costs.
I don't know what we're going to do, but, we need the electricity.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Houston.
For the next 2 weeks, NBC News is taking a look at the Metaverse. And although the technology is often associated with entertainment like games, movies, or music, it could also revolutionize healthcare. Here's NBC News technology correspondent Jake Ward.
Exactly. So usually the planning would be done.
What you are looking at is 3 respected surgeons.
So this is a brain simulation of a patient
planning an operation together from different parts of the globe.
Yeah, I'm in Durham, North Carolina right now.
I'm in Western Mass on vacation.
And I'm in Dublin, Ireland at a meeting.
They're thousands of miles apart, but they're able to gather virtually around this 3D rendering. This used to take days of video calls. Now, using HoloLens technology from Microsoft, it takes perhaps an hour. They even have time to let me join in.
If you tighten it up a little bit in the back, and here's our surgical planning team. Wow. And what you're seeing in front of us is a brain.
My unwashed, untrained hand can go into this brain. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's not only revolutionizing surgery, but medical school as well.
Here he must learn every physical detail.
In the past, anatomy class involved dissecting dead bodies, a grim and costly method.
What you can see now is that we've got a skeleton with us in the room here.
To see the nerves and how they bundle together inside the spine, that's incredible. Wow. Here at Case Western Reserve University, they've replaced cadavers with virtual bodies. Researchers have found that 3D models help medical students like these learn twice as fast and keep the knowledge longer.
It's awesome. I think it's like one of the things about studying anatomy is really seeing exactly how it lays in space. And I don't know that I ever would have gotten that without a virtual reality experience.
And as this technology becomes more widely available, so will this knowledge, even beyond medical school.
You'll have high school students arriving with a medical student's command of anatomy if they want it.
Exactly. And that's the power of this kind of technology. They could do this at any high school in America as long as they've got a Wi-Fi signal.
So here we're just looking at the muscular system.
For developing nations, community colleges, even nursing programs where this sort of training may have been off limits. Now, virtual learning is democratizing what has been an elite understanding of the human body. Jake Ward, NBC News, Cleveland.
And you can just point to it.
Wow, so cool. So much more Metaverse content to come in the next 2 weeks also. All right, coming up, whale of a tale. More and more whales, as well as dolphins, are being spotted in the waters off of New York City.
That's right. And we'll tell you about the cleanup efforts being credited for their return.
Now, marine mammals are heading back to the big city for the first time in years. Whales and dolphins are being spotted in the waters around New York, and wildlife experts say water cleanup efforts are helping foster a friendlier environment for them. CNBC's Valerie Castro has more.
Lunch feed, 1 o'clock.
A humpback whale feeding in the waters near New York City is more common than you might think.
The fact that it's right here and I don't have to go to Massachusetts to go whale watching is even better.
American Princess Cruises runs daily tours from Brooklyn in search of dolphins and whales.
Our goal today is to find these beautiful creatures.
Wildlife experts say it's getting easier to spot them because they're returning to these waters like never before, drawn to a resurgence in food supply.
Sometimes we get these massive group sizes, 200 plus animals, and just phenomenal sightings. And it's like dolphins as far as the eye can see.
Scientists with the Wildlife Conservation Society deployed underwater listening devices around the New York harbor to learn more and picked up these whistles, clicks, and buzzes. A sign that the animals, in this case bottlenose dolphins, are feeding in droves.
We're detecting them in areas that people never thought, they would see dolphins right off here off the, one of the greatest cities on the planet.
Decades of legislation and industry changes to clean up the water have reinvigorated the ecosystem. Just last year, these dolphins made their way up the East River, swimming against the backdrop of the city skyline. Out in the open waters of the Atlantic, Captain Tom Palladino says the large schools of baitfish guarantee almost daily sightings.
From 1945 to 2000, we would see 2 or 3 whales a year. It has gotten to the point this year and last year we're on almost 95% sightings. So it's just, and it's getting better.
The flip of a tail or lunge for some lunch, all promising signs that nature can slowly be restored.
These changes can happen through time, if we give wildlife and the habitats that depend on a chance.
Very cool to see. Our thanks to Valerie Castro for that report. Now, it's important to point out that these animals are federally protected. So that means getting too close for that picture is illegal. So your best bet is to book a licensed tour, which will not only show you the best spots for watching, but it'll keep you and the animals all safe as well. Well, right here outside New York City. How cool is that?
I know. Let's go on a tour.
Yeah, I know. And remember, there were some viral pictures that actually turned out to be misinformation about things like this.
We don't like that.
COVID.
We don't.
And now it's good to see that that's real. It's awesome. Thank you, Valerie.
That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.